Okay, what is up, aka Padders? Good morning. Now, look, I'm new to this because I'm talking to you and I'm partially doing the video like at the same time, and I'm doing a little bit of a like Logan Paul, and some of the other like YouTube podcasts that go into audio where I do maybe like the beginning or the top topic visually, and then we go into audio where you can subscribe. Now look, this is the AKAPAD. That's me, Peter Anthony DeLuca, another known as. That's where we get AKAPAD. This is the AUDACITY podcast. Now this was formerly Dreamweavers. I did a name, I did a branding change. The reasons for that was to increase searchability, and to complement some of my traction in some of the other social media platforms, so people could just easily find me. And the Dream Warriors experiment, which was 200 published episodes, pretty much didn't. It worked and it didn't work at the same time. But we're continuing the numbering. That is right, and I've added all the episodes together, and this is AKAPAD's AUDACITY podcast, episode 200. So welcome. And what are we talking about today? Let's just jump right to it, because I did some research for this, and holy moly, it's very disturbing, and I'm going to jump right to it. Okay, and we're talking economics here. We're talking inflation. I'm not an expert on this by no means, but I've done a lot of reading on it, throughout the years. Okay, like could I sit down and write a paper? I couldn't do that with confidence. So I'm not an expert, but I feel like I'm conversational on the subject, and I'm when we're outside the realm of comics and movies and streaming and TV and whatever the heck else we talk about on this podcast. Whenever I'm out of that realm, I kind of I just want to say I steer away from things that I'm not conversational about, and if I need corrections, I'll correct them later. But we're talking La Llorona. Now, that just came out this past weekend, and it made $27 million, maybe like 26.5, which is good on a lot of standards. Like when it comes to low budget shock horror, ghost driven horror, like 27 milli payday is phenomenal. Like that's a really good payday. But we're going to factor in two things that's going to tear it down, and this should scare the living hell out of you if you're a moviegoer. If you're someone that enjoys going to the movies. Number one, this is the lowest Easter weekend opening in nearly 10 years. 9 years. We have to go back 9 years to get an opening this low. Now, I'm not going to get in like intellectual on that, but that's disturbing. See, that's one of my theories here. Less butts in seats. Because we have this other thing. We have number two now, inflation. And inflation confuses a lot of people to the butts and seats. Because we have something that happened to the movie theaters since Avatar came out. So ticket pricing shot up. Everything got expensive. And theaters started to adjust to what they thought the marketplace wanted, which is recliner seats and all these other things. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, when you go to a theater and you hit that reserved seat through Fandango, the big thing is that recliner seat is roughly taking up 3 other seats. And it's not even double the price of the original seat that it's representing. Meaning that if it costs you $8 to go to the movies, it should be nearly $30 for that recliner reserved seat, because we're occupying the space of 2 other seats, so 3 total. But it's not. It will be a $12 ticket. And look, I know this is going to be different from state to state, city to city, even country to country. we're talking broad strokes here to illustrate a point and something that is happening. Now, you can make people like making arguments that the film industry is healthy because they'll say the biggest box office ever. You hear that every single year, the biggest summer ever, the biggest opening ever. We're on the heels now of Avengers Endgame coming, and it almost is meaningless to me because it's going to be a payday, but the rest of the field is going to be nothing. We have we have an upcoming Star Wars movie that there's very little hype for. And you can say, well, Pete, social media. Look. Social media it's a vocal minority at best. Social media doesn't represent the legs that these movies need to have. And I'm talking beyond the theater. I'm talking that these movies need to hit the consciousness that this is true branding. They need to get ownership of the gray matter in your mind. Movies really don't do that. The MCU has. The MCU and this is it. They are Babe Ruth. They're swinging for the fences and they're pointing. The MCU's pointing at Endgame being a home run. Now, La Llorona, let's get back there. 26.5 million. If we make the inflation adjustment, let's just go to 1998. That's the year Armageddon came out. Armageddon, roughly $250 million. The greatest movie of all time. We're now down to 17 million. If we went back to 1998, we went back in time with Huey Lewis in the news. We went back in time. We will have $17 million payday for La Llorona, which would be a huge disappointment. What else can we add this to? This is what upsets me. Because I like healthy blockbusters. Why do I like healthy blockbusters? Because healthy blockbusters fund the experiments from all of these other studios. They fund independent arms, Fox Searchlight, Sony Picture Classics, Disney with Miramax. It goes on and on. There's a trickle down. We need Armageddons. We need a movie like Face Off. We need the MCU to trickle down. Captain Marvel has exceeded my expectations. Captain Marvel seems to have found a base in the core. I was not expecting this, which could be good for the MCU moving forward. This is a point where I am completely wrong. I was completely wrong. I had a wrong take. Is Captain Marvel going to have legs in the long run? It does look like it, but this is where the MCU is just it's strictly magical. It's magical what the MCU does to people. But if we were to adjust Captain Marvel's domestic take, and why do we just look at domestic? Why are we not looking at international? International is nearly at 1.1 billion. Domestic is 400. With inflation, it's 256. That's not good. That's not good for a movie with marketing that we're, that's nearly the budget with marketing. It's a lot, okay? So did the butts and seats turn out for Captain Marvel? Are they going to turn out for Infinity Endgame? I'm sorry, for Avengers Endgame. Are they going to turn out for Avengers Endgame? I believe if that movie's good, that movie's going to have legs. I think if it satisfies and if it needs that curiosity factor, it needs to do anti-GOT what GOT's doing right now. Quick GOT rant. Okay, I'm not even going to look at the camera for this one. Episode 2, another epic disappointment. You're 0 for 2 on your final season of GOT. You're not winning me over. You're not winning me over at all, GOT. But okay, back to reality. So the butts and seats problem, it should disturb you. It should worry you because we have less seats. Some of these movies have big screen releases, but we actually have less people going into the movie when you factor everything in. We need people to get excited and go into the theater so this industry continues. Now, it's it's not going to be. I believe if these are indicators for like the fall of the American movie going experience, if these are indicators for that, I don't think it's going to be a long spiral. I think it's going to be every single theater is going to get chopped off at the knees, and only the giant conglomerate ones are going to exist, which is bad because we want independent voices and we want independent positions when it comes to this type of experience. We want schlock bad theaters that will show chud on the Tuesday night. Where the bigger theater chains now with the Fathom like entertainment, they will do The Godfather on the Tuesday. They won't even do the movies that should just be seen, just to be seen, and you can take the loss, you can take the L because you're raking it in. Okay, and sometimes those things pop. You know, you can get a really good payday, but no. So it's upsetting. So look, what's the final verdict here? I enjoyed one. I just wanted to document exactly what's happening, and if you want to know more, hit me up on the audio, Spotify, Anchor, Google Play, SoundCloud, and all the Apple stuff. Okay, I am available on the Apple icon. Just search AKAPAD and I should populate immediately on all of those. You might have to do a little bit of scrolling to find the podcast section, but find me, subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter, AKAPAD, and let's talk about this because I want to know what I'm missing. Am I missing anything? And if you're watching me on YouTube, come on, let's rock and roll. Let's do this. Subscribe, support. I'll talk to you later. Okay, hey, thanks for coming back and joining me. So if you're coming from YouTube, thank you so much. This is the audio, and I haven't figured it out because if you found the AKAPAD Audio Audacity podcast or the AKAPAD's Audio Audacity, I think that's what I'm calling it. Like you would have to re-listen to the first like 10-12 minutes. So I really don't have it figured out. I think I might just continue doing that just because I'm trying to get better with just straight up performing and just being able to put my lights on, set up my phone, set up the audio, and just rock and roll and not really spitball topics because a lot of times people don't realize how much I research and think and memorize a lot of these things that I discuss. Some of it's done very quickly, but at the same time, I do enjoy it. I enjoy it, and it's challenging and it's hard. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for joining me. This is episode 200. We're continuing the numbering. So can I just get into that real quick? Why are we at AKAPAD's Audio Audacity episode 200? Because I'm doing an old comic book thing. I'm turning Journey into Mystery, where Thor premiered. I'm turning that into the Thor title. This is a long-standing tradition when it comes to comics. When it comes the comics of the mid 50s to early 60s, where they were almost like these anthology-based series and these ideas. For example, the Dark Knight Batman came from Detective Comics. That was somewhat of an anthology series, and then he premiered, and that character took off, and then from that point on, from issue 27 on, Detective Comics was Batman Detective Comics. It was B-Man. B-Man always took over that title. We have something similar like Wiz Comics and Captain Marvel and Shazam. The original Captain Marvel, not the Brie Larson one, the MCU one. So because I want to maintain the work that was done on Dreamweavers, I want to maintain the energy that some of the contributors put into those episodes, and I just don't want them to go away. So if you're interested in like the origins of the AKAPAD audio experience, Audio Audacity, you can just scroll down, and there are a ton of topics, a ton of movies. And there's some life happening there. There's some episodes just committed to how I know people and how do we come about to sit down. Now I will say I do prefer audio only. Even now, just sitting down talking to all of you, And thank you so much if you stuck by the blackout period, because that was even tough for me. It took a lot to make that transition, just even on the branding sense, and start thinking about what the newer imagery and all these other things, what they were going to look like. And at the same time, like WrestleMania came and went. We missed WrestleMania, we missed talking about Captain Marvel, and now we're marching towards Avengers Endgame, and we're kind of missing some of the hype for that. But hey, this is a long-standing, long-form conversation podcast, and we will get to those subjects. We will talk about. I still want to talk about WrestleMania and some of the moves WWE is doing, because I believe it's long-standing and it's somewhat fascinating to me. So, what are we talking about now? Well, look. There's a lot of updates coming just from a podcast perspective, just from a social media perspective, that I'm not able to do, on the video, on the visual sense, and I rely on the audio to complete that message. But I have been busting my butt on my Indiegogo, on the comic book. I have some incredible incentives. I think I have some of the best incentives lined up. The most thought out incentives of any first Indiegogo or crowdfunding comic book launch. Every single incentive means something to me, and there's only going to be 3 tiers. There's 3 levels. The highest level will be $100 package, and no, it does not include original artwork. I think that is the lowest. Why would you want original artwork from someone you don't know? Period. It would be different if you're a little bit of a name, if you had a little bit of a social media following. I don't have a big enough of a following to offer artwork. I don't want to draw you into the comic. That is my story. I don't want your face messing up my story. I'm sorry. I know that's mean, but no. I want to offer you things that come from the marrow of my bones, things that are meaningful and significant. And I will be attacking all of this on my YouTube channel, AKAPAD. I really just have to get through this week, because what has been occupying me for over a day now, I got this idea to make a Jello Infinity Bowl, Infinity Gem colored bowl, meaning 6 flavored colored Jellos to match the Infinity Gems. And I wanted to do a video, almost like a mukbang video, where I just talk about things. This time it would be Avengers and the MCU. Talk about all the movies while I eat a giant Jello bowl representing the Infinity Gems. And I had this idea cooking for a while. And to do the video, though, there was a sequence to the video that I had to map out. Meaning, I'm gonna have to. It takes 4+ hours for Jello to solidify, to get to the point that you can pour another layer on top of it. So you can just add up the time. That's 24 hours of Jello alone. And between that, it's I have to record every single step. And I need a lead in. I need a setup. So I spent all Easter recording and getting that setup together, and getting the gestation and the origins of that episode and the foundation set in Adobe Premiere Pro, just so I can start dropping in the newer footage. And hey, I don't know if my 9 to 5 is even open today. I have no clue. But I'm going to record the blue layer, which is layer 4, right before I leave to see if my office is even open. And if my office isn't open, I'm just going to change my shirt. At this time of year, I always have an extra shirt in my bag. I'm going to scale down, dress down a little bit, hop around the coffee houses of Center City, and continue to do the work that all of you like to appreciate. And have... and have the 4th layer dry. So maybe by 4 or 5 o'clock today, by the time I get back, I will, I'll have another layer to record, and then I'll be 8 hours away from eating it. So it's arduous, it's huge. it's daunting. It's a lot of work, but I really feel like it's just something fun. It's something silly. Everything on YouTube has been spiking. It's been going. Like when you're building a following the way that I'm attempting it, you're going to get like peaks and valleys. You're going to get people that like follow you, interact right away, and they drop off, and then you have like a new run of people, and like hopefully along the line there's not like you're not dropping off subscribers and interactions, meaning the people who are discovering you are interacting as they're finding you, and then people will come back, and if the content is still there, if it's still being maintained, they they'll again interact and promote, and that's a little bit of the cycle, and it really is just like a roller coaster. Peaks and valleys, ups and downs. I'm sorry, Dallas has been buzzing around here the entire time I've been talking. But yeah, so like what going to the opening, yeah, I hate to say it, but the American box office, and like the reason why we focus, I completely forgot about that point. Okay. The reason why we focus on the American box office and not domestic is because the money that is spent in the consumer habits are dictated through American consumers, mostly East Coast and West Coast, and that's that. Like, what's up, Dal? Dal's making trouble. I may have to get going here very soon. Dal, Dallas sometimes causes me so much worry. He's just getting into a whole pile of papers now. God, Dallas just causes me. If he is when I'll say this: when Dallas isn't happy and well fed, he is a troublemaker, and he's been fickle with his food again. And I'm sorry, he's just gonna have to deal with it. But yeah. So we like the American film companies, they cannot make sustainable movies that are constantly marketed worldwide. Like you have to make movies that hit the base, that hit your media culture. Making worldwide movies in all lessens the effects of movies. It lessens the impact that they can have, because you're trying to do too much. You're swinging for the fences in the bad way, meaning that you're trying to please everyone. And when it comes to this type of product, and it does have a there's shades of art in filmmaking. We want movies to be like substantial. We want them to be grounded. We want them to be meaningful. We want them to carry on. So they carry on the American culture. That's why they're important. And when you try and make these worldwide movies, that effect just goes away. It doesn't exist. So it just makes it all the harder. So if these companies are relying more and more on international sales to really make their to make it pop, then we're that's almost like doom scenario number 2. That is equally disturbing as scenario 1, where I outlined in the opening. So I don't know. Look, I don't think I'm going to do every single episode with video. I want to just do some audio diatribes almost. I just want to be able to pour things out to all of you. So episode 202 most likely will not have a video intro. It would just be kind of me, and I still want to digest and discuss everything that's happening with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Captain Marvel. So look, thank you for hanging out with me. We're still building this out, so any feedback would be great. Let's create a feedback loop. But in the meantime, rock and roll, go create something, and AKAPAD over here, your AKADaddy. I love you, but create, and let's do this.